So, it's not often that I go to cinema and I become more interested in the pattern ceiling above me than the actual film taking place on the screen in front of me. But that's what happened with this film. Death on the Nile. Now, Death on the Nile is directed by Kenneth Branagh, and basically the film follows the story of this wedding party which takes place on the River Nile in Egypt. And at this wedding party, a murder happens and everyone becomes a suspect. And that's the general plot of the movie. It's a bit more to it than that, but I can't bother getting into the plot because honestly, I found this film to be phenomenally disappointing. I really didn't get along with it. And the thing is though, it's a follow-on from Kenneth Branagh's Murder on the Orient Express. And I'm not a huge fan of that film either, but at least that film was enjoyable to watch whilst I was on. I just found that film quite forgettable. I haven't really thought about it much since I watched it, to be honest, but at least it was enjoyable when I watched it. But then, when I watched Death on the Nile, it was just confusing and kind of hard to watch. I didn't get along with it whatsoever. I really didn't enjoy it. And the thing is though, I feel like a broken record whenever I review a Kenneth Branagh film recently. Honestly, with Belfast and now this, I feel like a bit of a broken record. Going about how Kenneth Branagh's not a good director and he just keeps making bad movies. And I've seen quite a few of his movies now, which I'm not a huge fan of. But the thing is with this film is I actually wouldn't pin the blame on the fail of this film on Kenneth Branagh. I'd pin it more on Armie Hammer, because basically this movie was meant to come out in, I think, February 2020. I might be wrong then, apologize if I am. But the thing is though, I think it was meant to come out in 2020. But then obviously it got delayed because of the pandemic, and then it got delayed again more because of the ongoing pandemic, which was still carrying on to a large degree. Honestly, it was meant to come out in 2021 at some point, and then it got delayed to this year. And then, whilst I was getting all these delays, all the stuff came out about Armie Hammer and all the allegations. And whether true or not is a different matter entirely, but the thing is though, they did affect this film. And you can tell, and I don't like that you can tell, but the thing is though, you can't. You know, there's so much of the film which has been clearly edited around Armie Hammer. You know, it almost feels like there's one big plotline which has been left out of this movie. And you know what? I bet there has been. Because even so, Armie Hammer is still in the movie, because he plays quite a big character in this film. Even so he is still in the movie, it feels like it's been edited around him to try and cut him out as much as possible. And you know what? I reckon it has been, but it really doesn't come off well. It doesn't at all. Honestly, the film is horrifically edited. It's horrifically edited. The thing is though, I'm not blaming that on Kenneth Branagh. I mean, I don't think it's a brilliantly directed film regardless of, you know, the Armie Hammer situation and whatnot and the editing around his character. But nevertheless, I wouldn't blame the failure of this film on Kenneth Branagh. I'd blame it on Armie Hammer because it's not Kenneth Branagh's fault with what happened with Armie Hammer. In the end, Kenneth Branagh just casted someone to be in this movie, and then everything goes wrong for him because of all the accusations, and you have to edit around him. Honestly, it just feels like there's one large storyline which has been cut out of the movie because of all the allegations against the actor who plays that character. That's what it feels like. And you know what? I don't actually know, because I don't really know the Death on the Nile story. Because I must admit, actually, last night I did actually start to watch the TV version of this story, which is the name of David Suchet as Poirot and Hughley Poirot. I'm going to investigate the murder. You know, with David Suchet as Poirot. I started to watch that version of Death on the Nile last night, and by the way, I thought it was miles better. I haven't actually seen that version to its full degree. I haven't seen the full version of that. I haven't seen the full TV episode. But the thing is, though, I already thought it was better than the 2-hour theatrical cut version. But nevertheless, I started to watch the David Suchet, you know, TV version last night, and I thought it was miles better. But the thing is, I haven't finished that version, but I only watched the first half of it. But like I said before, I thought it was so much better than this version, and I've only watched the first half of that version, and it's meant to be a TV episode, you know, it's not meant to be a movie, and yet it was so much better. But the thing is though, I don't know if the storyline was cut out of this movie. I don't know, because I don't know the story myself. I know of the story, I've heard of Death on the Nile before, but I just didn't know the story myself. But the thing is though, it just felt like there was a large chunk missing from this film, and you know what, I reckon there was. because of the whole Armie Hammer situation, and I do think that's a bit unfortunate for Kenneth Branagh, because even so I don't think he's the best director, like I said before, I enjoyed Murder on the Orient Express when I watched it. I don't think it's a good film, but I enjoyed watching it. But this film just feels like it was edited in such a way that it was leaving something out, leaving one big thing out, and I think it failed because of that. I think that's one of the reasons it failed. But also, the film feels incredibly fake. You know, there's so much CGI in the film, and none of it feels like it takes place in Egypt. I mean, whether they actually filmed any of this film in Egypt, I don't know. I haven't looked at it myself. And if they did go to Egypt, you know, well done to them. I bet the actors had a nice holiday there. But the thing is, though, it doesn't feel like they did. It doesn't ever feel like they're in Egypt. And going back onto the TV version of this story, you know, the one I was watching last night with Dave Suchet as Poirot, going back onto that version, I was watching last night thinking, this looks like it's taking place in Egypt. You know, it has its own problems, that version, but at least it looks like it's taking place in Egypt. But this version just looks like it's taking place in some studio. So much of this film has really bad CGI, and it doesn't hold together. And also the composition, where basically it's like a green screen, and you know, all the CGI set behind is animated on. I haven't described that well, but you know, all the composition in the film is really bad as well, and none of it looks real. Whether they did film in Egypt, I don't know, but just none of this film looks real. It just looks fake. I didn't believe in any of it, and also I didn't like any of the characters. And by the way, off topic here, I wasn't actually thinking about doing a full-on rant in this video today, but that seems what I'm doing. But the thing is, like, yeah, I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't even care about Kenneth Branagh's version of Poirot. I just didn't care about any of them whatsoever. And you're meant to in these movies. You're meant to in these murder mysteries. You're meant to at least care about one character. You know, the person who gets murdered, maybe. The thing is, though, you don't even care about them. Honestly, things just happen, and you're meant to care. You're meant to have this big emotional response to these things happening in this movie, but none of it does. None of it gave me a big emotional response. Characters died, and things happened to certain characters, and I just went, huh, great. I don't care at all. Honestly, I really didn't. And I didn't care about Poirot either. You know, you're meant to care about Poirot in this film. You are, especially with the opening. And by the way, on the topic of the opening scene in this film, oh my god, I hated it. Basically, it just explains the origins of how Kenneth Branagh's Poirot got his big long moustache. And literally, I was getting so angry with that scene when it happened in the cinema. I didn't get along with it whatsoever. And I don't have any attachment to Poirot. I don't really care about that character. I've only watched much murder mysteries in the past. I've seen a couple of them with the whole Poirot character. But the thing is, though, I haven't seen much of him. But the thing is, like, the opening scene of the film really got me angry. And I'm not sure why, but it was just the way it was orchestrated, that opening scene. I just didn't get along with it whatsoever. But yeah, you're meant to care about Poirot in this film, but I didn't. Honestly, there's characters shine a Poirot throughout the movie, and I just kind of felt, yeah, you know what, go and have a go at him, because I don't really understand what he's doing there. And then obviously he solves a murder because it's Poirot, but still, I didn't even care about Poirot in this movie, and I should. I didn't care about any of the characters. I mean, no, I think all the performances are fine. I think there's some actors which are really giving it their all in this movie, like Emma Mackey, which I only really know from Sex Education. By the way, she's brilliant in that show, but she's also brilliant here. Honestly, she's giving it all in this movie, and at the same time, though, you know, French and Saunders are fun to watch. They're misused, and they're not in this movie as much as they should be, but they are good in this movie at least. You know, Rose Leslie as well, she's good in this movie, misused, but, you know, good in this movie at least. And at the same time, though, there's some other good performances, like Kenneth Branagh as Poirot. I didn't really like the character in this movie. I didn't like the way Kenneth Branagh wrote that character. If he did, I'm not sure if it was the person who wrote the movie, I'm not sure. But I didn't like the way the Poirot character was written. But at least Kenneth Branagh was actually trying to add something into that character. In fact, I actually thought Kenneth Branagh's performance in this movie was better than his directing. And that's not saying much, by the way, but I do think that is the case here. But the thing is, though, you know, some of the other performances just kind of feel miscast and misused. You know, Letitia Wright is fine in the movie, but it just kind of feels like we don't get enough of that character. Same with Russel Brand. Russel Brand is fine in the movie, but it just kind of feels like he's there. I don't understand why that character had to be played by Russel Brand in this movie. It just kind of felt unnecessary. And also, Gadot felt like she was acting in a theatre play. That's why I felt like when I was watching her character. Again, a great actress. She brought Wonder Woman to life fantastically, but in this movie, it just kind of feels like she thinks she's in something else. Same with Armie Hammer, and same with so many other actors in this movie. Just none of the performances really stuck with me. I do think the actors are doing the best with the script they got, and I think Emma Mackey is a standout, but at the same time, though, it just, I don't know, none of it comes together. It feels clunky. And I honestly think that's because of the whole Armie Hammer situation. I'm not going to go on about that again, but it feels like so much of the film has been edited out, and the version we're getting is like half cut. It doesn't feel like it's Kenneth Branagh's full, untouched vision. It just kind of feels like it's a studio's vision of this story. You know, I haven't actually finished the TV version, which I spoke about earlier in this review. I haven't finished the TV version of this story, which I started watching last night, but that version at least feels more realistic, and it feels more gritty, and it feels like you believe in the characters a bit more, and that's meant to be a TV version of this story. This version is a film version. It's the actual film version of the story, and I didn't believe in any of it. The whole setting looked fake, and I didn't get along with it whatsoever. I really didn't. It got me annoyed after a while, to the point that, like I said before in the intro of this video today, I became more interested in the patterned ceiling above me. Honestly, I really did. And you know, Patrick Doyle's score does his best trying to sweep you and immerse you into the world, but then all the visuals just take you out of it, because it looks fake and none of it looks real. I never bought into the fact that they were, you know, travelling up the River Nile, the fact that they were in Egypt. I never bought into any of that. I just didn't buy into so much of this movie, and that's the problem. At least Murder on the Orient Express I bought into, but I couldn't buy into any of this. And the thing is though, you know, I don't think Kenneth Branagh is a great director. I don't like Belfast. I seem to be one of the only people in the world who doesn't like that film, but it's the truth. I'm not really the biggest fan of Belfast, and you know what? I hope it doesn't win Best Picture. I think there's better movies to win Best Picture this year, such as Power of the Dog, but nevertheless, I'm not the biggest fan of Belfast, and I'm not the biggest fan of Murder on the Orient Express. And the other Kenneth Branagh film I've seen, which is the, you know, a Cinderella remake from 2015, I'm not the biggest fan of either. It feels like the handsome Cinderella remake, and it also feels like it's Kenneth Branagh trying to make a Disney film, but also kind of failing at the same time. But yes, I'm not really a fan of Kenneth Branagh films, and so what a big surprise, I'm not a big fan of this film either, but it feels messy and convoluted and fake, and none of it holds together, and it started to get me really annoyed. This movie made me annoyed in the cinema, because I wanted to enjoy it at least. You know, these movies, I'm not going into expecting a masterpiece. But at the same time, though, at least with Murder on the Express, when I watched it on my TV a couple of years back, because I didn't actually watch it in the cinema, when I watched it on my TV, you know, I enjoyed watching it. But the thing is, though, I didn't enjoy watching this film at all. It just annoyed me with the filmmaking decisions and its misuse of the cast. Great cast for this movie, but it all feels like they've been misused, and just none of it worked. I feel like a broken record on this review, honestly, I really do. I feel like I can keep saying, you know, none of it works, none of it works, none of it works, but that's the truth. None of this film works. None of it does. And it doesn't hold together, and it got me really annoyed. And the other big problem with this film, in my opinion, is, and this is the last big problem I'm going to talk about in this review, because there's many other problems as well, but I'm going to calm myself down by talking about this final problem, is that it feels like this is Kenneth Branagh trying to make a Knives Out film. Because the thing is though, Knives Out came out in 2019. I'm pretty sure it came out before they shot this movie, because they shot this film in 2019. That's right, they shot the film, what is it, 3 years ago now? But yes, they shot the film 3 years ago in 2019. Am I my maths wrong there? But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But nevertheless, yes, they shot the movie in 2019. And it almost feels like Kenneth Branagh watched Knives Out before he shot this movie and went, I want to make my own version of that, because his film feels like he's trying to be fun but also serious. But the thing is though, Knives Out does that in such a way that it's kind of mischievous to watch. You kind of enjoy watching it because of the way it's kind of tricking its viewer. This film, the storylines and the plots are so predictable. Characters show up in like, I immediately know what you want to do here. And then you get reinstructions of certain characters, not to give too much away there, but you get reinstructions of certain characters. I'm like, I know why you're here. These storylines are too predictable. And you know, I bet they're not in other versions of this story. They weren't in the TV version, I got to admit. They aren't in the TV version. I bet you they aren't in other versions of this story, and other, you know, TV or film versions of this story. But the thing is though, in this version, characters show up. Characters come out of nowhere. They come back on screen after you haven't seen them for 10 minutes. I'm like, I know what you were doing, and why you like this, and why is the filmmaking like this, and why is none of it holding together. In fact, I know the reason it isn't holding together, but still, it should try its best to hold together, and it just feels so clunky and messy and convoluted. And the thing is though, I feel bad for Kenneth Branagh, because I reckon in 2020, this was a very different movie. I honestly reckon that was the case. And I reckon the movie Kenneth Branagh originally wanted to had out, I don't reckon it was much better, but at least I reckon the version he wanted to release was at least enjoyable. But this one was not. I just didn't get along with it whatsoever, and I just, it annoyed me. I feel like I do a lot of rants on this channel recently with Uncharted, and that's what I'm not going to think off the top of my head, but yes, I feel like I keep doing rants on this channel, but I want to go to the cinema and love what I see. I can't wait to see the Batman next week, and hopefully I get to see Cyrano as well. You know what, I'm going watching The Godfather on Sunday. In fact, this will all be past Sunday by the time the video comes out. Probably, I don't actually know when I'm going to release this video when I'm recording it, but nevertheless, yes, I'm going watching The Godfather on Sunday, and I can't wait to go and watch that because it'll be fun and enjoyable time at the cinema. By the way, this is way off topic, but nevertheless, I'm going to talk about it anyway. But this film, I didn't have an enjoyable time at the cinema because I didn't get along with the film, and also someone's on their phone updating their Spotify profile whilst the film was on. You know, I wasn't interested in the movie, I was more interested in the pattern ceiling above me, but at least I didn't get on my phone and go, you know what, I'm going to start updating my Spotify. Yeah, I'm going to add Coldplay into my playlist and a bit of Oasis. Why were they doing that in the cinema? I don't understand people who get their phones out in the cinema. It really bugs me. And this is an off-topic message, but don't get your phones out in the cinema. Live without your phone for at the most 3 hours in a cinema. It's not difficult. But anyway, going back onto Death on the Nile. I didn't get along with it, and it just wasn't for me. And if you like this film, that's great. I don't want to take this away from you. But honestly, it just, like I said before, it was phenomenally disappointing. Because I wanted to enjoy myself when I watched this movie, but I just didn't. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Death on the Nile, I'm going to say that it's a 3 out of 10. You know, I've given this film a bit of a higher rating than I intended to, actually. I intended to give it a 1 out of 10, like Uncharted. I'm going to be a bit mean in my reviews now, but the thing is, though, I can tell that this film is trying to be good. And, you know, I don't think you get what I mean there, but I can tell this film is trying to do what it's starting to do. It's trying to provide a really compelling murder mystery. It fails in doing that, but it's trying, and I'll give the film that at least. Although, ultimately, it did disappoint me, and it didn't work. And yes, it did disappoint me, by the way, because like I said before, I watched Murder on the Orient Express on my TV a couple of years ago, and I enjoyed watching it. I don't think it's a particularly good film, but I did enjoy watching it when I watched it. But the thing is, though, this film I didn't enjoy watching. It just got me annoyed, and I wish it didn't. And all the film just looks fake, it's got a convoluted plot, actors are misused, characters are so obvious in their motives, and I didn't get along with any of it, apart from the musical score. I do think Patrick Doyle, who's the musical composer of the film, I do think he did a good job trying to sweep you away with the story and trying to get you immersed into the film, but so much of it is just badly edited. There's one moment in particular where Gadot's character sees a storm incoming, and it's just so weirdly edited, and honestly, just the whole film's clunky, and it feels like bits put together, and sometimes that can work, like in the Monty Python movies, but in this one, it doesn't, and just, it's rubbish. It's absolutely rubbish. And if you like it, I don't want to take that away from you. You know, I'm jealous of you enjoyed this film. I really am. But personally for me, I didn't get along with it whatsoever. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Kenneth Branagh's Death on the Nile, I'm going to say that it's a 3 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Death on the Nile? Please do comment down below and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and subscribe on this video. I look forward to many more, both film and TV reviews coming very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye!